Welcome to Kickin' with the Rickens, redefining retirement. Gerry Ricken and Heidi Ricken Provost want to help you retire with purpose and live with joy. Find more information, including how to reach the team, in today's show notes. Now, Kickin' with the Rickens, powered by Ricken Financial.
Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for downloading. Thanks for listening to Kickin' with the Rickens podcast. We are here with retirement planner Heidi Ricken Provost and licensed insurance professional Gerry Ricken. My name is Mark Owens. We invite you to get more at rickenfinancial.com. You can get all the information here in the show notes. Thanks again for subscribing. Now, let's get to the show. Before we get into it here this weekend, first and foremost, Happy New Year. But I think all of St. Louis wants to know, Gerry Ricken, everybody's on pins and needles, and they want to know now that we're into 2026, were you awake when the clock struck midnight on New Year's Eve?
Oh, I am always awake, Mark. I am always awake. You know, in fact, I celebrated a couple times. I watched the ball drop,
right,
which is 11 o'clock Central.
Yeah.
Then I celebrate again at midnight.
And celebrate again. And they got to get up to pee in the middle of the night and then go and celebrate.
Growing up that used to bang pots and pans and run around the neighborhood at midnight.
Oh, yeah.
As a kid, I would love that. But now, as an adult, I'd be like, dang Rickens again are out celebrating. They don't know when to go to bed.
Yeah, I would be a total curmudgeon about it nowadays.
Yeah.
Well, Happy New Year to you.
We've been known to do fireworks on our street as well.
As you should.
And when it still had propane in it, fun fact, many years ago, my dad ran the Olympic torch. So when it still had propane in its tank, my dad used to run around the neighborhood on New Year's with the Olympic torch as well.
Yes.
Well, hold on. Huh? How have I known you for this long? And number one, I didn't know you ran with the torch. And number two, I didn't know you still brought it out. It's like a party prop. What?
It's in our office.
It's hanging on the wall in our office now.
Yeah, if you would like to see, was it Salt Lake City?
Salt Lake City.
If you'd like to see a Salt Lake City Olympic torch in real life, just come on by to Ricken Financial, 425 North New Ballas Road, Suite 111. We'd be happy to show off the Olympic torch for you. It doesn't have any propane left in the tank, but it's here.
I've been to your office though. How have I never?
Oh, it actually got hung up after you left.
Oh, yes. Okay. Quick question.
Yeah.
If I come to the office and I bring some propane, I'm just asking the question, Gerry. Is there a chance we could do a loop in the parking lot with the Olympic torch?
Well, you can do a loop in the parking lot with the Olympic torch. However, this propane container was specifically designed for this torch, and there are no refills anywhere in the country. I have tried. I've searched the dark web. I've searched the bright web. I can't find it anywhere.
I even asked the man who created the Olympic torch holder from Etsy that we bought to put on the wall if he had any leads on it. And he said, you're not the first person to ask. And all of us have looked and we can't figure out how to refill it. So.
Oh, come on. Can we at least just put a sparkler in it and light that?
We can certainly do that. Yeah. We can certainly do that.
Set some fireworks out.
2026 is already off to a great start. This is going to happen at some point this year. Hey, as we get rolling here this weekend on Kickin' with the Rickens, rickenfinancial.com to meet the team or keep this number close. We have a representative standing by even this weekend to talk to you if you got a question about your financial future. 314-207-6211. Let's get into it. 2026, making it our best year ever. And before we talk about the families that you serve, what about you, Heidi Ricken Provost, you, Gerry Ricken, professionally and personally? What do you have set for this year?
Yeah, I don't set New Year's resolutions because I don't want to set something so big that I fail to get there. But I have goals that I've set for the year, both professionally and personally. And assisting me to get to my professional goals, I have a professional business coach as well, Sean Patton, who's helping me out this year. So I'm very excited to work with him and to continue to build the infrastructure of our business. We're going to be continuing to grow and serve more clients. You will see some growth in our teammate structure around here for this new year. And personally, I have some big fitness goals to hit this year. So I have been working very hard on my health journey for a couple years now. And my big fitness goal this year is to complete the 29029 Everesting challenge. Mm-hmm. So in July, I will be at Mont Tremblant, which is in Canada. And I'll have 36 hours to hike up to the gondola and gondola down so that I ascend 29,029 feet up, the equivalent of hiking my own Everest. Oof. So that's my big goal this year. And That doesn't happen overnight. You train for it like you would train for a marathon or anything else you might be doing. And, I was challenged to do it in 2025 and I politely declined because I wanted to ensure that I had the right infrastructure in place before getting there. And so I've been working with my trainer since May of 25. From the ground up, we're changing the way my body functions so that I'm able to handle it. So
mentally, because Everesting is physically and mentally challenging. We know the physical part. Mentally, how are you preparing for this experience?
One of the things that one of my kind of life coaches has instilled in me too is a challenge to work on that called a 12-hour walk. And you leave your home and you walk for 12 hours and you don't have headphones or like you have your phone for an emergency, but you just kind of disconnect from the world and move for 12 hours. And I plan to do multiple of those leading up to that to work on my mental stamina because of course you can still bring your headphones and stuff up on that mountain, but I have a feeling there will be points in time where I don't want that. And then I'm also going to proactively reach out to some important people in my life and ask if they can shoot like a little video of encouragement, because I do know that there's going to be a point in time when I have nothing left. And I will feel like I have nothing physically left to go up that mountain, but I know it's going to be all the mental game. So if some people that I know and love can give me just that support that I can watch and pump me up, then hopefully I can get up there.
I love that.
Okay, Heidi, I want you to do it. That was mine.
Oh, thank you. That was so supportive and wonderful.
Support right now. She's in the game now. I love it. I love the challenge that you put before yourself for this year, because I know a lot of people that do the 29029 program, and it is that. It is a challenge. It is mentally and physically, and you're not guaranteed to complete it. Just once you show up, it's not like everybody gets a ribbon. I mean, you are going to push yourself to the limit. And so I've got nothing but respect, and I love that you're forcing yourself to do that this year for 2026. What about you, Gerry, Ricken? What do you got on the calendar as a goal, not a resolution?
Well, one of my goals is to continuously work on my health. And sometimes I achieve that goal and sometimes I don't. And during the holidays, I didn't. So it's a matter of just getting more discipline, on a daily basis. And moving, just like Heidi said, moving around, just actively moving, and also curtailing a little bit of that stuff that gets put in front of you in the way of food. But I am a foodie and I do love food, but we all love food, but It's just a matter of consumption and actually looking at what I can do for a work-life balance as well. I know we talked about this in the past, that a lot of times we focus so much on work. And I bring work home. When you own your own business, you never get away from work. And we love serving our clients, but we have to have a little bit more work-life balance. And I'm just going to take a little bit more time away, because people ask me all the time, hey, when are you going to retire? Well, Heidi says, she'll probably have to kick me out someday, because I won't, because I love what I do so much. I love helping people, but I just need to do a little bit more of that and taking some time with Sheila and just getting away. And maybe shutting my phone off occasionally, just like you talked about, Heidi.
Yeah. So I think personally, we have some awesome goals, and professionally, a lot of our big goals are surrounded around our clients. We have the privilege of helping a lot of people retire in 2026, actually. Yeah. And I'm really excited. This is going to be
probably our biggest year of retirees ever.
It will be our biggest year, the largest amount of clients who go to retire in 1 year. So I'm really excited. Each and every one of them have different goals that they would like to achieve this year. And, our first question we ask is, what's your purpose going to be in retirement? Because we want to ensure that the plan that is built around your retirement is going to, feed your soul, bring you joy, and help you on wherever you are in your journey of retirement, so that you can do what you want to do with your time. And there's some really, really cool things that our clients are going to be doing this year and beyond. And that is bringing me a lot of joy.
And the other thing that we've done, last year, we moved into a new space, Mark, and you've seen the new space, and it's much larger than our landlocked space that we had in the past. But we did that as an intentional purpose, with an intentional purpose in mind, that's to better serve our clientele. And we're building our structure as well. We're increasing our our personnel count around here too. And we just brought in, a young man who's helping us on a daily basis to support our clients. And his name's Clayton Mack. And he's just been a great addition to Ricken Financial. And I hope each and every one of you have the opportunity to meet this young man.
He's amazing. And we also have, assistance moving into our tax season, because for those clients that we serve who, work with us on their retirement planning, we do forward tax planning, and we also will prepare your tax returns. So we have some help in the preparation of those returns this year. And we're excited to continue to grow and provide more and more support to every single client that we have the joy of working with.
Somebody's listening this weekend, Heidi, Ricken, Provost, Gerry, Ricken, and they're saying, I've done little to no planning, but I do think this is the year I want to clock out for the last time. I think 2026 is the year that I'm going to retire. It's my goal. Can it happen? Can we retire within a year, or do you need more time?
It all depends.
All right. Thanks for joining us this weekend. We appreciate it. We'll be back next week.
You're not wrong, though, because every single person we meet with will have a different answer to that question, because we're not one size fits all. There is no global yes or no advice when it comes to retirement planning. If you've never saved a penny in your life, and your Social Security, if that's what you're going to go on to, or your pension is not going to cover your expenses, short answer is no. If you have some savings out there and you just don't have the plan that puts it all together to work for you, short answer is it might take a month or two for us to help you put the plan together, but it's possible.
One of the things we don't do, Mark, is we just don't take you in off the street and say, oh, move your money here. That isn't what Ricken Financial is all about. Ricken Financial is all about designing a boutique, customized plan for you. You out there, every one of you has a different fingerprint than everybody else. Your retirement plan is different than anyone else, just like your fingerprint. We need to learn more about you, what makes you tick, what you want to do in retirement, what your purpose is going to be, what your goals and objectives are, and what you've saved, what you spend. All those elements go into whether or not you can retire this year.
Right. And what the taxes are going to look like too. Because, we were just having this discussion too. When you do some stuff, sometimes we might discount ourselves. And I was saying, I have a shirt that says know your worth and then add tax. And same in retirement, know the value of everything, but ensure that the taxes aren't going to eat it up the most, because our largest expense in retirement is typically going to be your taxes without some forward and future tax planning. So,
but that doesn't have to be the case. We can get you tax free in retirement eventually.
That's why you have to do some forward and future tax planning to get there. But the short answer is anyone in the world can retire anytime. But if you would like to retire successfully, you need to ensure that you have the retirement plan put in place. And a retirement plan is not an asset. It's not like, okay, I invested in my 401k and I have some money sitting aside. A retirement plan includes those assets and ensures that what they're invested in is meeting your risk tolerance. But a retirement plan also has an income plan in place to see what streams of income are going to come in your bank account in retirement to cover your expenses, an expenditure plan to make sure that you have enough income to cover the expenses, some tax planning so that, Uncle Sam is taking care of every step of the way, estate and legacy planning to ensure that, your largest beneficiary is your beneficiaries and not the government, and that you don't have to go through probate court, and a bunch beyond that. But
like healthcare is one of the biggest things where a lot of people will be challenged in retirement on their healthcare. We're all living older and longer, but we're not living healthier longer. So expenses creep up, especially with respect to the end of life, and long-term care issues pop up. What's your plan there? Regardless of what the plan is, we need a plan.
So if you're sitting here and you have some investments, that's great. But if you don't have that all-encompassing plan that can take you to and through retirement, we'd love to take you through the purpose approach, where we see what you want to do with your time in retirement and we help you build that goal out. So if you're sitting here, like Mark said, and you're like, I haven't really put that much thought into it, but maybe 2026 is my year to retire. Well, we'd love to put it all together and see if we can help you get there. So give us a buzz at 314-207-6211, 314-207-6211, or head over anytime to rickenfinancial.com, RICKEN financial.com, And we'll see if we can get you retired and enjoying life on your own time in 2026.
And you can join the record number of clients that Ricken Financial has this year that's actually retiring this year, because we started looking at our list in the fourth quarter and said, oh my goodness, look at all these people who are going to be retiring in 2026. So we're so happy for them and can't wait to see them meet their goals and objectives and live their purpose and live with joy in 2026 and beyond.
Asking the question, how can I make 2026 my best year ever? And we mentioned at the beginning of the show, set goals, not resolutions, the importance of having a plan. As we continue to build this list, Heidi, Ricken, Provost, what's the next step to making this our best year ever?
Well, I would say that the people who want to retire this year, if they actually physically get to retire, that's going to be their best year ever. But there might be some other financial milestones ahead of you that we want to tackle to make your best year ever in 2026. So, retirement could be one of those milestones. What if you have grandkids joining the family in 2026? That could be a beautiful financial milestone if, you're like most grandparents out there and you want to spoil them. Or maybe you want to help fund some future education or
maybe their future Trump account that'll be entering our world in this year in 2026.
Well, define that a little bit more, Gerry. What's that?
Well, during the One Big Beautiful Bill Act that was passed last year on July 4th into law, one of the stipulations in there is any child born in 25, 26, 27 will receive a Trump account if you designate so on your 1040. The Trump account says that children born in those 3 years will get $1,000 funded from taxpayer money to start a retirement plan for them. So they're starting obviously at zero if you want to, and the family can add up to $5,000 per year to that account each and every year. Well, if you do that and fund it with the $90,000 until you're age 18, we ran the numbers, and this thing can turn into multi-millions after that. I mean, it is staggering to see what a Head Start can get for these children that are born in those 3 years. The other interesting thing is when this thing rolls out mid-year of this year, you can actually start a Trump account for anyone who's under 18. It just won't be funded with taxpayer money if they weren't born in those 3 years. But you can get a head start for each kid that's out there that's under 18, and it's going to be a fabulous process.
As the kids say, the TLDR, the too long didn't read version of that.
Yeah.
Here's the gist. A Trump account is a way to start an IRA for anyone under the age of 18 without having to have earned income. Because usually in order to put money into a retirement account, you have to have earned income to cover the amount that you're putting in an IRA, in a retirement account. You don't have to have earned income, and you can start a retirement account for someone. So, hey, give them a head start. Why not? Especially if you're of those ages where you get the free money. Because, we all know it's not necessarily free money, it's taxpayer money, but hey, to them it's free. So why not? Don't leave money on the table, which leads into some other financial goals or milestones we might be hitting in 2026. Maybe your kiddo is not 2 years old. They're 22 years old and they're going to be getting married. That could be a huge financial milestone you'd be hitting in 2026, because we all know that the cost of weddings ain't cheap. I've seen a lot of joy come from a lot of our clients who hit that financial milestone with their children too, assisting with some wedding planning.
That's right. I was just meeting with a couple this morning. They just got back from the weekend in Kansas City where his daughter had her engagement party. So she was completely surprised, didn't know anyone was going to be in town, didn't know she was going to get the question popped to her. So it was just a fabulous weekend. So we want to help you experience those joyful moments in 2026 and beyond.
And maybe that joyful moment involves a kid going off to college too, because that's a terrifying, joyful moment. And sometimes a really heart-wrenching one. We had quite a few of those happen with our clients' kids last year too. And especially the only children. Oh man, when they went away to school, it was tough on mom.
Or the baby child.
Oh yeah. What an exciting and cool time in the kids' lives too. So that could be another financial milestone we're hitting in 26.
And how to really fund that. What's the best way to fund that? We talk a lot about taxation in our daily lives because that's where we live. We live and breathe in a tax code, and how to fund that in the most tax efficient way is probably one of the biggest things we want to discuss. And one of the things you may be experiencing in 2026 is reaching that magical age of 65. Let's say you're retiring at age 65 and you will no longer have health care benefits through work. You automatically qualify for Medicare. And what is Medicare? Well, Medicare is a government-sponsored, and people say government-provided. No, it's taxpayer-provided, government-sponsored, and government-administered healthcare system in the United States for anyone that reaches age 65. So it can be very, very complex, but we can take that complexity out by just having a simple conversation and making sure that you know what plans are available that fit your healthcare needs. It's very, very simple.
Speaking of which, if you're not age 65, but you're ready to retire and the finances work out, you have the retirement plan ready to go, then maybe one of the milestones you're hitting this year is 63 and a half, because if you have solid health insurance provided by your employer right now, and you want to carry that with you until you hit the magical age of 65 when you're eligible for Medicare, you can carry COBRA benefits for 18 months. Obviously, you have to pay for your health insurance there.
And that's not the snake. That is the continuation of benefits.
So it's you paying out of pocket for that health insurance coverage. But, if 65 is the magical number for retirement just because of Medicare, there might be some eligibility in there and some wiggle room as long as the budget can provide for your health insurance needs leading up to that too. So if you're anywhere between 63 and a half to 65 and you want to explore how that's going to work in your retirement plan, we would love to have a chat and see if 2026 is the right year for you to hang up your hat and walk away.
The other thing on Medicare is a lot of people don't understand is if I turn 65, I have to go on Medicare. No, you don't have to. You don't have to. If you're still working and you still have health care, you don't have to file for Medicare. And if you'd like to learn more about that and everything else that we talk about on Kicking with the Rickens, we'd love to have that conversation. 314-207-6211 gets you started with just a simple phone call. It won't cost you a nickel. It'll just cost you a little bit of time, and you'll have the opportunity to talk to Heidi and I.
A couple of minutes ago, we were talking about the milestone moments, the good things to look forward to, grandkids, weddings, the kids finally getting out of the house and going to college. Those are all milestone moments. But Heidi, to have the best year ever, we also have to prepare for the worst, which also means being prepared for the speed bumps, the emergencies in life.
So, you need to ensure no matter what stage of life you're in, you have the right emergency fund available, because those what if moments happen. You plan for the unknown, because anytime at any point, we all know anything can happen any day. So if you want to weather the storm, you have to ensure that you have enough emergency funds to do so. If you're working, you want to ensure that you have some money on hand, because, who knows what could happen? We could lose our jobs. You could be out of work for a health reason, whatever the case may be. And if you're retired, emergency funds are probably going to look a little bit different. So, some people will meet with us and they'll say like, oh my gosh, I'm retired and I don't have 6 months of income sitting in my bank account right now. Well, that's normal, because you work really, really hard for your money while you're working. When you retire, that money needs to work really, really hard for you. And having 6+ months of income sitting in a 0% interest earning bank account, that money is not working very hard for you in retirement. So it's all going to depend upon your investment plan, your risk tolerance, and what strategies you're implementing in what stage of retirement you're in. But emergency funds in retirement could look something like having high yield savings instead of just a 0% interest bank, or maybe you have some investments that are actually in the stock market themselves, that you have liquidity available in it and can pull them when needed. But, it's going to run the gambit there. But you need to ensure that your financial infrastructure is strong, because you want to be able to weather any storm. And if you're in retirement in 2026, let's talk about that financial infrastructure and what we need to have in place, starting with an income plan.
The most important thing that we talk about is, as long as you have blood pressure, we want you to have income. Now, let me repeat that again. If you have blood pressure out there, we want you to have income. And that's what we do. We design income plans for the rest of your lives. And that's collectively, if you're married, the rest of both of your lives, because we want to make sure that all of your expenses are covered with an income plan. And we know where that income's coming from, what its tax basis is, and get it to you the most efficient way. And if we can get guaranteed income for life, like Social Securities and pensions, those are beautiful things to do, is making sure that everything that you do, if you just think about it, if everything you do in life is covered by an income plan, you have the freedom to do whatever you want with
Mm-hmm.
the rest of your assets. You can book those cruises. You can, buy that boat. You can buy this vacation property. You can just go visit relatives in an RV around the country. Whatever your goals and objectives are, we can make those happen. But the most important thing we want to focus on is while you're working, you have a constant paycheck coming in. You have cash flow coming in. How is that cash flow going to flow in retirement? And that's what an income plan is.
So, yeah, you mentioned Social Security and pensions, and, we can help assist you with some advice on the best point in time to turn those on, or, how to pull in the streams of income from those and account for the taxes and all of that. But what if that's not enough income to cover your expenses? We can explore annuities with you as well, because if you don't have a pension plan available to cover, the deficit between your expenses and your Social Security, some people call it a personal pension plan that you can develop yourselves, because it's kind of like that. But you can, have an income-based annuity that pays you a stream of income for the rest of your life too. So there's a bunch of different available funds out there that can help you cover your income. But the gist is we want to ensure that you have income to cover your expenses, because that's going to be key in retirement, as you move forward and make some big decisions here. And you're going to be able to sleep really well at night if you have enough income to cover your expenses, so that you can make the smart investing choices beyond that with your money. Your income plan comes first, and then we take a look at your investment plan to ensure that what your money is invested in is matching your risk tolerance as well. And, we've mentioned this a couple times on the show. And if you listen to our podcast, you've heard us talk about risk tolerance. Do you know what kind of risk you're exposing yourself to in your investments? Because if you don't, we'd love to kind of peel back the curtain for you and show you exactly what type of risk you're taking, whether you're invested in or out of the stock market and in any different investing vehicle you could be using. You want to know what kind of risks you're exposed to. So if you want a risk analysis to see what kind of risk you're taking and if it matches your tolerance for risk, we would love to chat at 314-207-6211, 6211, because we want to ensure moving into this new year that if something were to happen, and one of those unknowns would be a market correction, that you're meeting your risk tolerance with your investment so you don't feel pain in that moment. Because we always think like, oh, this is a beautiful thing when the market's up and we're matching our risk tolerance. Whether you're matching your risk tolerance or not, when the market's up, everyone has these rose-colored glasses. When the market goes down and you're not matching your risk tolerance, we don't want you to feel pain, especially if you're on the brink of retirement or have just entered retirement. That's the point in time that pain can be incredibly painful, and we don't want you to have to weather that storm.
That's right. And, I'm going to circle back just for a minute back on the income plan. One of the things I failed to mention is designing income to keep up with inflation as well. Because a lot of people say, well, here's my income, here's what my income is going to be. But we fail to think about inflation. Inflation is out there and it's going to go out, and it's diminished, during the last several years. But we've seen inflation be as high as in the 20 percentile, So we want to make sure that we are prepared and have you prepared so that as your expenses go up, your income increases as well. Mm-hmm. And if we can do that in a tax-free manner, that's even better. So there are all kinds of different elements that go into all the different kinds of plans that we talk about. Mm-hmm. And we want to just educate you and make sure that you are aware of what your options are.
Yeah, so that you're maximizing your income plan and you're taking advantage of the proper type of investment plan and not exposing yourself to more risk than you're comfortable with. Maybe 2026 is going to involve upsizing, downsizing, right-sizing your house too. I mean, there are so many intricacies that come, especially if you have to have a bridge loan or a mortgage in there. And we'd love to help you get in the right house too, because we've had a lot of these conversations lately. So many people are retiring, and when you ask, are you in your forever home? And people will be like, well, I'm in my home until I'm going to need care, and then I want to be in a ranch, blah, blah, blah. Well, you know what? Let me tell you, coming from someone who's been actively looking on the market for a while, it's going to take a while to find the right house.
Yeah.
So, if that's one of your 2026 goals, let's make sure that the money is not going to keep you back from getting in the right house if you're lucky enough to find it, because that's going to be a quick decision and a quick turnaround if you're lucky enough to find it.
And is the right house a standalone property, or is it in a community where all your maintenance is taken care of? Because a lot of people have expressed that to us that, I'm just tired of shoveling snow. I'm tired of mowing. I'm tired of edging. I'm tired of planting things. I want someone else to do that for me. There are options out there, but you need to understand what those costs are associated with that. That doesn't come free.
And ensuring that your income plan can cover those costs if that's part of the plan for you. Another big plan we want to ensure you're covered and really putting some emphasis on in 2026, that's going to be your estate planning. When was the last time you looked at every single thing you own and what the beneficiaries are? Because even just this week, I was having a conversation with someone and they said, well, I've updated all my beneficiaries for everything. And we looked at it. And their ex-husband was still a beneficiary in one of their old 401k plans. So
Oops.
Not to say that that's a big thing, but hey, have you sat down and created a trust? Okay. Because if you have, you need to ensure that that trust is funded properly. And that doesn't mean cutting a check into the name of the trust and putting money on paper for it. That means everything you own that's in your personal name right now would be in your trust name, titled into your trust instead of being in your personal name. So, if you have an individual brokerage account that you have money in the stock market in, that just means changing it from Heidi Ricken Provost to the Ricken Provost Trust. You want to ensure that you're funding that because you've gone through the painstaking process and the financial burden of having a trust. We want to make sure it's funded properly. So maybe you created your trust or your will 10 years ago and some life changes have occurred since then. It might be the right year to update that estate plan as well. But this is going to be the right time to really focus on those beneficiaries and ensure that everything is structured properly so that your financial infrastructure is going to take care of your financial wants, goals, and wishes for the future and today.
And it's just not a matter of who your beneficiaries are, but how they're structured. Because, having trusts as a beneficiary of an IRA may not be your best idea out there.
Yeah.
We want you to understand what the nuances are of each one of these accounts and how they should be structured properly going forward.
You offer the purpose approach, and I love your tagline, retire with purpose, live with joy. So for maybe just somebody catching up for the first time this weekend here on Kicking with the Rickens, what is the purpose approach?
Well, the purpose approach is our way of approaching your retirement life. One of the first things we want to know is, what is your purpose going to be when you retire? When we are working, our purpose, a lot of our purpose stems around what we do for a living. So when you're not doing that for a living, what's going to feed your soul in retirement? Because if you don't have a plan for that, a lot of bad things can happen. I mean, you can go into a state of depression. We've seen it happen with people who didn't have that plan, and you'll be, maybe you're lost because you don't spend a lot of time around people anymore. Well, what is going to feed your soul? So we want to just find out what your goals, objectives, what's fun, and can we have more of that? And can we design programs in your retirement to really, really, really make you live with joy, like we say? So that's the first thing we talk about. Then we get into the easier parts of the retirement plan. That's income planning. How do we replace cash flow on a monthly basis? Investment planning. Are you meeting your risk tolerance? What is your risk tolerance? And are you investing in the way that meets your risk tolerance? Then we look at expense planning. What we want to make sure that we keep up with inflation on an annual basis, or on a monthly basis, or on a daily basis, the way it seems lately when you go to the grocery store. Then we want to also look at, what about your health care? Are you before age 65 and you need other kinds of health care? Are you age 65? What kind of Medicare options are out there? What's available to you? What's the best option for you? What's the most optimal option for you to really determine whether or not I use this plan, this plan, this plan, or this plan? It can be very confusing. We try to take the confusion out of that. We also look at estate planning. What do you have? How is it owned? And how should it be owned? Do you have healthcare power of attorney? For someone to come in and step in, make healthcare decisions for you. Do you have a durable power of attorney for your finances in the event you are incapacitated? Who can do that for you? And do you have a trust or a will? And is that trust properly funded? And that just means simply changing the way you own things into the name of your trust. And then last but not least, and I think is probably the most important plan that we ever talk about. And if you've heard us talk, we beat this to death because it is your biggest expense in your lifetime, and that is taxation. And we can't do a darn thing about what happened last year, but we sure as heck can do a lot about what's going to happen in the future with respect to taxation.
So you just mentioned it, but I want to make sure everyone knows the difference between tax prep and tax planning. So you need to have a tax plan, which is very different from preparing your income tax return, which you do between January and April 15th each year. If you're a good citizen and you want to make sure your tax return is done on time and you didn't file an extension. But tax preparation is doing your income tax preparation. Tax planning goes way beyond that, because by the time you prepare your income tax, there's very little you can do to change last year's income taxes. Tax planning looks at the forward, at our future, and puts together a plan to ensure that you're only paying your fair share of taxes, but nothing beyond that. So if 2026 is going to be your best year yet, and you take advantage of some tax planning, here's some things we could be doing in 2026 to implement a tax plan. If you're of the age that you're receiving your required minimum distributions, so you're age 73 right now or older than that, the traditional IRAs and 401ks you've saved all these years, the government dictates when you have to take some of that money out and pay income taxes on it. And that's called an RMD, a required minimum distribution. Well, there's a deadline every year for when you have to take an RMD, and that's December 31st. So by the last day of that year, you need to ensure that you've taken it so you don't have a tax penalty. But that doesn't mean you wait till December to take your RMD. So if you need one of those this year and you don't know how much it is, or you don't know how to take it or anything, we'd love to chat. Give us a call at 314-207-6211. But maybe we're going to start the year off strong by taking a portion of that RMD or even the whole thing. And why would we do that?
If you're charitably inclined at all and you give at least $1 to charity throughout the year, say you give to your church every week, you give to, the Girl Scouts, you have philanthropies that you go to a ball every year, you do something like that's of charitable interest, and you have a 501c3 that is a charitable entity, whether that's church or charity. If you give any money at all, you can receive those required minimum distributions that Heidi just spoke about tax free. Let me repeat that. You can receive that tax free. It's taxable income unless you use a part of the Internal Revenue Code called the QCD, a qualified charitable distribution. A qualified charitable distribution satisfies the required minimum distribution that you have to take at age 73 and beyond, in that whatever you take out of an RMD and take money out of your account in the form of a required minimum distribution, if you pay that to a church or a charity, the amount you pay to a church or charity is not taxable. Let me repeat that. It's not taxable. So you can take money out of a taxable account and make it non-taxable if you provide it to charity. So if you're giving any money at all this year to charity, let's have a discussion at 314-207-6211, because we want you to understand the nuances of this. And Heidi mentioned taking it in January. Yes, take it in January. If you're going to give any money throughout the year, the money has to come into your bank account before it goes to the church or charity for this process to work.
There's quite a bit we can do for tax planning in 2026. So let's talk about the buzzword of retirement that everyone's been talking about for a couple of years, but really hyper-focused on lately, and that's Roth conversions. If you don't have a tax plan in place and know kind of what ins and outs are going to be happening in your tax return throughout 2026, how on earth are you supposed to decide, A, if a Roth conversion makes sense, which would be taking some of those traditional funds, moving them to Roth and paying the tax right now at whatever your tax rate is to do so. So that in the future, all that money, as long as it's been in Roth form for 5 years and you're over the age of 59 and a half, comes out tax-free to you. You don't know if a Roth conversion even makes sense if you don't have a tax plan. And B, if you're going to do a Roth conversion, how much do I Roth convert this year? If you don't have a tax plan in place, you can't answer those questions because you're just kind of willy-nilly making those decisions. And we know when it comes to taxes, we don't make our decisions willy-nilly.
And a lot of people come to us and don't even know how much they pay in tax.
Oh, yeah.
They just know that they had a tax return and they either got a refund or they paid something on April 15th. But they really don't understand what their effective tax rate is. We can explain all about taxes when you come in and not making your head roll, eyes roll in the back of your head. We want to keep it simple. We want to keep it very, very simple. So to keep it simple, we just sit down and have a conversation, show you what the numbers look like, and the numbers don't lie. It'll be very clear to you whether or not you should make a Roth conversion, do a Roth conversion, how much that should be.
And we want you to make informed decisions each step of the way. So, as we talk through this tax plan in 2026, we're also going to look at your non-retirement accounts. So if you have brokerage accounts out there, you have some stocks, bonds, mutual funds, exchange traded funds, all that kind of stuff. If you own that, can you do some tax loss harvesting? Because that maybe you have some stuff out there to gain and you have some stuff out there at a loss. Well, you can offset the taxes if you plan for this effectively. So we're going to take a look at that with you too and help you make some informed decisions along the way, because let's be real, most people don't understand how the basic 1040 code works and how to even come up with a tax return and what we're paying. So if we're going beyond that, we'll go as much or as little into detail as you'd like so that you can make some informed tax decisions moving forward. Like everything else, there is no one-size-fits-all tax plan. So if you listen to anything and they say, oh, every person in the world needs to do a Roth conversion, that's blanket advice. We don't give blanket advice. We want to ensure that we're meeting your risk tolerance, your retirement plan, and your tax plan, because your tax situation is different from every other person in the world's tax situation. It's more complex than a fingerprint, I think, because taxes have so many nuances in them. So let's meet, let's put it together to see if there's anything we can do tax-wise to make 2026 and beyond the best year ever. Because if you have enough time, we can put together a tax plan to ensure that you retire tax-free. But it all is going to have to start with a talk. If you don't give us a call, there's nothing we can do to help. So head on over to rickenfinancial.com, RICKEN financial.com, or give us a buzz at 314-207-6211. See if we might be the right fit to help you put some plans together.
Heidi, as we put a bow on this conversation, what's the first thing? What's the number one thing that adults should do right now if they want to have the best 2026 ever?
Well, they should probably give us a call at 314-207-6211 to get started on their financial goals. But, I would say take a step back and think about, if you're at the end of 2026, what you want it to look like. Because if you have that vision, you can make anything happen.
Well, Heidi, Ricken, Provost, Gerry, Ricken, thank you. Thank you for the education and the information this weekend. We are back next weekend, but before we get out of here, take us home.
Every day in 2026 is a holiday.
Life is short. Laugh hard.
This has been Kicking with the Rickens, redefining retirement.
Insurance products are offered through the insurance business Ricken Financial LLC. Ricken Financial LLC is also an investment advisory practice that offers products and services through Impact Partnership Wealth LLC, a registered investment advisor. IPW does not offer insurance products. The insurance products offered by Ricken Financial LLC are not subject to investment advisor requirements. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Any references to protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims paying abilities of the issuing carrier. This podcast is intended for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as the sole basis for financial decisions, nor should it be construed as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual situation. Ricken Financial LLC is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during the show shall constitute tax or legal advice. Our firm is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. The information and opinions contained herein provided by third parties have been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by Ricken Financial LLC.
Please remember that converting an employer plan account to a Roth IRA is a taxable event. Increased taxable income from the Roth IRA conversion may have several consequences. Be sure to consult with a qualified tax advisor before making any decisions regarding your IRA.
Tax preparation and tax advisory services are offered through Ricken Financial. These services are not offered by IPW and are not subject to investment advisor requirements. These services referenced are an outside business activity not offered through or supervised by IPW.